KFPL quarterfinals weekend. You're probably getting tired of my voice by now because I am David Baron von Fabulous Lark, once again
Uh,
joined by my regular co-commentator.
Callum, the good Doctor Young, here to do some talking, so you don't have to listen to the Baron quite so much.
And
Uh,
together we are, of course, Screech Bomb commentaries.
I'm just going to plug it in all the streams to see if we have some actual viewers.
That is always helpful. I do find otherwise we're just screaming to the void, and that makes me sad.
I mean, we have a whole thing about screaming into the void. It is one of my absolute favorite hobbies.
You do love the void.
I do love the void.
But yeah, so
Hey, we got one viewer. We're
we have
good.
one viewer.
Hello,
Okay, hello.
hello to whoever that is.
Oh. But yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen the games that we've been doing already this weekend, all three matches have been incredible. We had who was it on Saturday? It was Shaka versus Jay Philippeg. Great set of games. Just real nail biters, all of them. And today, kind of just I'd say like if you're gonna watch anything, watch the games we've just done, which was Demat versus Jay Power. Just fascinating games to watch and just incredible like piloting. I would say to be seen in that.
Yeah,
Really,
great skill, great deck understanding from both players.
exactly, yeah. And but that's no disservice to the game that we saw this morning, which was
Also
of
great.
course Poch versus Dave Cordero, and that deck just those games just again fascinating to watch. Showed that real kind of like deck matchup and how that can be important in that one.
Yeah, it's been interesting playing obviously Archon Triad as a format in the KFPL, but we've reached the top eight now, and I think all three sets of games have been absolutely incredible.
They have,
So it's
yeah.
really showing just the high level you get when you have this sort of Archon Triad format. Because even if you just have solo Archon, it's sometimes just a bit rock paper scissors,
Hmm.
and where it's sort of relatively clear at the outset who's more likely to win. But obviously with the mixing and the matching and the bans and whatnot, it's all a little bit more complex and has a little bit more intrigue.
Indeed. So let's go to our usual deck chat, and we're going to look at our first player from today's matchup, Doctor Sheep's decks.
Yeah, Dr. Sheep from Team SAS of the Luxurious Playstyle, Team SAS
And
LP. And we're starting off with C. Colton, which, firstly, it is 51-25 in real life chain
yeah,
bound Keyforge, which is
16
crazy.
chains the deck has on it, which is
Which just
yeah,
indicates the amount of competitive reps it has on it.
yeah, most
Uh,
definitely, and a very nice deck it is too.
it
Uh,
is. It's just real big in all the numbers. It's nice to see some coda that is not just like either Shadows Logos Dis or Shadows Logos Untamed or
yeah,
Dis Logos Untamed.
yeah, with
We have
some
a little bit
Kota
of variation.
Brobnar, which I'm very
Coda
happy to
Brobnar.
see. Brobnar, one of my favorite houses.
Uh,
I love it. I love big stompy creatures that are going to do some stomping,
yeah,
and that's exactly what we have in this with a Headhunter, a
yeah.
Smash, and a Tireless Crocag, which I'm going to hover over because you might not see a Tireless Crocag too often. Tireless Crocag cannot reap. He has no interest in reaping. He only cares about fighting. You may use Tireless Crocags if it belongs to the active house. If your opponent has no creatures in play, destroy Tireless Crocag. So kind of a precursor to Sinister Rex in a sense.
Yeah, so very fighty Brobnar, complete with a triple Coward's End and a double punch,
Hmm.
adds up to most of your 19 creature control. And that's just going to cause a lot of problems for a lot of decks that are quite competitive in the current meta. Stuff that needs big boards is
Indeed.
just going to be consistently wiped out. And on top of that, you have the Shadows, which obviously will steal egregious amounts of Ember.
Yeah, because you have the
Four routine
four routine
jobs.
jobs. No, it's for four casual. So yeah, you're getting these out, and like your first couple are going to steal for one or two, which is handy. But then you've got three or four on the second two routine jobs. Combine that with a TMTP and a Nerve Blast. Just the sheer amount of stealing that
Yeah.
the Shadows has is brutal. Even an Urchin as well, rounding that out, and nearly missed that.
You also have the interesting synergy of the sound the horns with the routine jobs. So you can perhaps, if you get lucky
Ah.
early on, discard a couple to get straight to the steel 3 or steel
Certainly
4,
can,
which can be
and
very
yeah,
big.
because not that many Brobnar creatures, not many creatures across the whole deck, but only four Brobnar creatures in total too. So pretty
Hmm.
good chance you're going to get quite a lot into the discard with that Sound the Horns.
Yeah, and then the Logos is just very draw heavy. It's got some mothers, it's got a Howling Pit, it's got a library access for a pretty decent turn.
Yeah, remote access to pretty handy one just to kind of like knock around your opponent's artifacts. I think that's the only artifact control. Oh, and a Nexus as well. So not the best artifact control, might struggle there a little bit, but outside of that, very, very solid deck.
So moving on to Ikari the Badly Curious.
Mm-hmm.
Right at the very top end of the SAS range. Obviously, Team SAS have like decks that are high SAS. In the things they like do overlap with the SAS, but I think this is fully deserved because it is chock full of Worlds Collide nonsense.
This is my kind of deck. This is the kind of deck that I love to play, that I love to see. Very happy with this. You know, Code Monkey is a card I love. It's a card you don't see too often, but it's archive each neighboring creature. If those creatures share a house, gain 2. I have a deck that I love, Callum hates, which has 2 Code Monkeys, 2 Igors, and oh the fun you have.
Lost that so many goddamn times. Yes, the Logos is like all draw. You have a Graft, you have a Dysania that's pretty handy in the meta, very handy.
One that can be a really nice one with that Code Monkey is like when you got E-Dies. If you maybe get those E-Dies a bit early, like I don't really need E-Die right now. You can play down the E-Dies, archive some stuff, and then just like flip them back to your archives with the candle unit, save them for later.
I cannot believe you went to the Logos first because I assumed you would start with this ridiculous Saurian where you have firstly the full Miami, which obviously a fan stream favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, Axiom
double
Brisk
tribute
and City State Interest with 23 creatures to benefit from that too. So a big Ember Swings.
Yeah, and that's a big deal because you have Brachus and double Pompetus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you can just make giant creatures full of Ember, and with like a little bit of ward, almost guarantees you a huge Brachus score at some point.
It does indeed. And then, you know, just in case you weren't already enamored with this deck, you got the Dis, which with double Exhume, so bring back probably these E-Dies, Retta Gallums maybe, even the Center Brachus could be good. If your opponent has just removed it, being up, play it again. And then outside of that, really useful stuff. Festering Touches, great for kind of getting rid of those wards, doing some pesky small creatures, some damage. Obviously, Eon the Fringes, great card.
I just don't think there's anything in this deck where I look at it and I'm like, oh, it'd be nice if I could replace this with that. I'm just like, yeah, all of this is just great. It's just all great.
Yeah, I mean, like Binding Irons, you'd maybe be like, even that's fine. Cutthroat Research, you get rid of.
Maybe Cutthroat Research.
Like, yeah, you could definitely find something better than Cutthroat Research.
That could be another E-Die.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's when that's all you can find. That's problem. You're pretty happy with the deck, and I can certainly think this is likely to be a ban because it is brutal.
And we didn't even talk about like 6 of the other things that are in it.
Yeah,
like there's an Inverness, there's the Obsidian Forge, there's a Snag, like all sorts of candle units, a huge problem.
Grossness across the board.
Just absolutely gross.
And then we also have P.U. Pan, Artiste de Obscenité.
The artist of obscenities.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I can see why. A lot of swearing that's going to come out if you play against this deck.
Yeah. So, Ember Control. Control for days.
Yep. It's a sort of one of the very few competitive AoE archetypes you see. Usually, a comp AoE deck has like some hook to it. It's like Jenka, it's sort of Brig, a couple of other ones. This is one of the types where it is huge amounts of creature removal, huge amounts of steel, and fast logos to go with it. So yeah, triple Ronnie, double Brand, because why not? A bunch of other steel.
And I think what's also worth noting here, you've got stuff like Anguish, you've got Charrettes, you've got some Capture to go along with the Interdimensional Graft too.
So, yeah, absolutely.
And also with the Direxes for CYXs and the Helper Bots as well, just like a lot of ways going to play like cards out of house or it's going to like mess with things like Researcher too.
Yeah, some potential shenanigans with the Helper Bot Hysteria combo.
Oh, yes, of course. Very true, yes.
Because obviously that would put your Charrettes back in hand for the Graft and also let you replay a Helper Bot and a potential multiple hit for ZWAX Researcher.
Yeah, I mean, also like bouncing Death Quark as well is another way of getting rid of those Charrettes. It just means you can't then play them again the next turn. So still pretty good, but
the Dis is obviously incredibly disruptive because you've got double Hysteria, double Binding.
I just noticed something even grosser you can do, which is Helper Bot, Hysteria to get rid of the Charrettes, and just play a Brand.
Yeah.
Give him an extra Ember there. I'll take. Be happy.
Yeah. Could help a bot, Bren, BDQ. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things. And
Mhm.
yeah, you can see a lot of matchups where between the Hysterias, the Binding Irons, and the Life Ward, you just slow your opponents down to an absolute crawl.
Yeah, I think this deck is going to be miserable to play against, which is why I'm a big fan of it. It's very much my sort of
Miserable,
thing.
so I say.
To shreds, you say.
To shreds. Not that Lorenzo is short of powerful decks
He
himself.
is
Let's not.
certainly not, and let's have a look at those. And we'll talk about. Can you tell me the name of this deck, Callum?
It is Violent Valley Agent Randolph.
Thank you very much.
It's going to call it Randolph. If you disagree, take it up with Google Translate. And yeah, this is just a kind of style we see from the Atlanteans a lot, where it's just good all-round functionality.
Mm-hmm.
So this deck has a reasonable amount of all of the things you could want. You've got decent Ember control with some TMTP, Ronnie, Brand, Yancey gangs. You've got some good board clear, and then you've got a Quintrino Flux and a Red Alert, as well as a couple of little bits.
You've got your artifact control with your Hawks. You've got your
Hawks.
speed with your Telltale Vapors, your Zens, your Edis to an extent.
Yeah, the combination of Zenzik, and Valgerico, we've seen lead to some absolutely ridiculous turns throughout this tournament.
You certainly have, yeah.
As well as the double Quant and the Tabor.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just looking to make a decent sized board of Star Alliance and Logos creatures, that giving you a huge amount of efficiency as you sort of say capture a lot of Ember and try and bait them into some sort of giant TMTP play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's why it's difficult to talk about this deck in a way, because it's just good at everything. Because it's so good at everything, you like normally be like, oh well, it's really good at this, but like maybe here's where it lacks. And with this one, you're like, no, it just does.
It's like it's all round medium good, which means it's just very adaptable.
Yes, exactly.
It will do what you need it to do in a matchup.
And I think that's part of like how Lorenzo has gotten so far with these decks, is that they are so adaptable, and he's such a good pilot as well, that he's so good at kind of threading the needle with these plays that just kind of like, we've commentated on some incredible games for Lorenzo where he's just made bonkers plays right at the end. We've just been like absolutely on the edge of our seats.
You can feel the reps sometimes as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely an entertainer, I would say, is Lorenzo.
Yes, speaking of entertaining or not, let's look at Odin the Aggressive.
Odin Legrasivo.
Here we have, I think you can probably work out what this deck does. It has 3 controller weeks. It has ways of recycling those with the help from Future Self and Nova Archaeologist.
Yeah,
it's got.
I mean, let's not sell the disruption in the other houses short either. When you've got double miasmas, you've got Scrambler Storms too.
You've got a Succubus and a Dysania again, just in case you felt like you might want to archive something.
Yeah, and Dysania is a great. I like Dysania as a card that wasn't amazing in Kota when it was kind of first starting. It was okay, but it wasn't incredible. Dysania's just gotten better and better and better as the sets have gone on.
Yeah, like AOA Logos had a bunch of archiving. Worlds Collide has EDI stuff, and now we have auto encoder shenanigans, as well as stuff like Grim Reminder. So Dysania just gets better and better.
Yeah, and I think we said it about Dr. Sheep's deck, but we need to mention with this one as well. At 31-12 record in competitive play with an 11 chains. So
yeah, pretty good. And yeah, you see why, right? It will just generate a lot of Ember because 25 expected Ember is not nothing. And just lock you into, at the very least, suboptimal turns, if not outright turn skips.
Yeah. And now we come to the third and final one of.
I will note that Odin has been banned 6 times out of 7.
I can certainly. I think the only time it wasn't banned as well, I believe, is because his opponent knew the previous owner of Odin.
Yeah, he used to belong to a friend of his, so this is why they decided not to ban it.
Yeah, felt like he could play around it. He was not correct.
Unfortunately, not for him.
But final deck, and it possibly my favorite of the 3, is Specialist Sandstorm Greifswald, which is Nope the deck.
Yeah, so I was very excited. I always tell the story. I was very excited when I first started looking at this deck because it doesn't have Infernus in. And I'm like, oh, that's good. It's nice to have a bit of variation in terms of competitive MMDS. It doesn't have Infernus, but then it just stops you from doing anything else.
Yeah. Want to gain Ember? No. Want to use stuff on your board? Skippy Time Hog. No.
Yeah. Double Skippy Time Hog, as well as things like a Stirring Grave to bring it back.
Yeah.
As well as an opposition research. If you want to use cards, that's going to be quite hard.
Yeah. Want to steal stuff with no? Vaultkeeper says no. Want to use destroyed effects?
Discombobulator.
Yeah. When you destroyed effects, Purifier of Souls. No.
No.
Want to use Saurian stuff? Equalize, gonna move your Ember around, make that real difficult.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you forced the key. Break key. No.
Yeah, just gonna undo that.
Oh, you want to choose what house to play? Mark of Dis. No.
Just no. No, big no.
It just
it's
makes
a very
me
good
so
deck.
happy.
Oh, I hate it. I love it. I hate it so much. I only don't hate it entirely because I'm not actually playing. You can just watch the spectacular things that go on. And yeah, on top of all of that, you have a lot of spot damage, a lot of spot capture, a lot of spot draw with the enhancements, because you're looking at 21 enhancements in the deck, and also a pretty chunky Sanctum board, like 114 expected power.
Indeed, yeah. And yeah, that's what I love to see. You 23 creatures, big boards, lots of reaping, lots of just making your opponent miserable. I love this deck. I hope it's not banned. The bans are currently in progress too, so hopefully we'll find out. We'll just ask them.
In terms of ban chat, I think if you're sheep, you pretty much have to ban the triple control the weak deck. I think it's too much. There's just the chance of a hard lockout all the time.
Yeah,
is too high. So. And then I'm pretty sure Akari also gets banned by dint of just being obscenely good.
Yeah, and I think like the thing is that Sandstorm I think has got a decent chance kind of messing up like what both of Sheep's decks do, kind of with that all that stuff to just kind of stop things doing what they want to do. And we were correct, Benzar, Odin, and Akari.
Yeah, I think not especially surprising, but I still think we're definitely going to see a pretty great match.
I am very certain of that.
Question to you and the chat, if anyone's actually there, which I think they are. Who do you think is going to win?
I'm gonna back my boy Lorenzo. I love his decks. I think his decks are real fun. Yeah, he's my kind of player, plays my kind of decks. I'm always gonna back Lorenzo. So yeah.
I'm gonna go for Sheep. I think the massive amount of creature control in both Colton and the Artists of Obscenities are gonna munch down on those big Sanctum Knights, declare them to be cowards, and strike them from the board.
How dare you!
I know, it's outrageous.
So first match is gonna be Colton versus Sandstorm.
I'm just gonna do another plug.
And we're just waiting for that game to be started, and then we'll jump in and bring you the third and final match of this hot Keyforge action we have on this Keyforge Super Sunday.
Final game of the top 8.
It is indeed, yeah. This will decide who is in the semi-finals. Yep, Dr. Sheep's going to be 1 second performing a ritual sacrifice before his game for luck.
Lorenzo and Dr. Sheep playing for the right/punishment of playing against Damat in the top 4.
I believe
spoilers.
I believe no. Damat. The thing I thought Damat and Lorenzo were in the same group in the group stage, but they in fact weren't. I was thinking of Vincenzo rather than Lorenzo. I always get the two mixed up.
Yeah, so Jay Philip in the chat saying Sheep has had a pretty impressive run, which I think is true. Came top of a very difficult group, unexpectedly earned the title of Defier of Odds, and we will see if that can continue.
Indeed, but Lorenzo no slouch either for sure.
Nope.
But yeah,
I think two of the biggest teams going head to head here: Hamburg Atlanteans dominating the European scene versus Team SAS, who are all over the Americas.
Yeah, but we are going to see Dr. Sheep on the top of the screen playing C. Colton, Stiller Holmes, Ambitious Emperor, and Lorenzo 99 on the bottom of the screen playing Specialist Sandstorm Griefswald, and he is going to be going first.
Okay, so I think biggest thing in this matchup is going to be, can you make either a Vault Keeper or a Discombobulator stick on the board?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big thing you're going to really want to do is try and get damage on them as soon as possible. Yeah. Just turn off that Coward's End. But of course, if you get damage on, for example, the Vault Keeper, then Punch is going to be vulnerable too. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. And that's all good to go. Let them
know. Love Punch as a card.
You do.
It's one of my absolute favorites because it's the card where playing it feels the most appropriate to what it does. It feels like you're doing it. You play a card, just punch.
Mm-hmm. That's also Callum does just punch people when he plays punch. It's very
It's true.
distressing.
I do that. So Lorenzo's going to start off with a daughter, which has a draw pip on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because why
And a
not?
capture pip and a damage pip. Just needs an ember pip and it'll have all the whole set. Which Shadow is going to be the response. Plays a Nexus, a Dodger, and too much protect coming out very early on there.
That is very early. Can't have been happy to see that in his opening hand.
Definitely not. And Lorenzo probably going to be very happy to see that go bye-bye. But not a slow deck that Sheep's playing, so I think definitely a chance to see that come back around. But Bold with the Bold is coming onto the board here.
I will say Jay Philberg has pointed out that Team Sheep is also in Archon's corner. He's dual teaming it, which I didn't know was a thing.
I don't know. I'm on both Screech Bob-Omb and the Nottingham Anomalies. It's a thing. You can be both. It's allowed, right?
Traitor. We are going to see that Sanctum board starting to emerge.
Mm-hmm.
And emerge in some style.
Yeah, and interestingly, we see Scrivener Fabian damage itself, presumably to protect against
absolutely.
that Coward's End, which there are 3. But the other Sanctum creatures is going to have to hope that they are not declared cowards and ended. Dr. Sheep having a brief think here, deciding what his next move will be, goes straight to Logos.
I mean, does need to find an answer for this board
because we've Howling Pit coming down early on. So both players are going to be drawing an extra card here.
I'd love to see that. Just makes the game more fun for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, and I don't know. This could be an interesting one. I think it could benefit both players quite a bit here. Like Lorenzo's deck, definitely not slow by any means, but not the fastest deck. So giving him that extra card draw could be quite beneficial to him too.
And I think it's useful for Colton because you have those Coward's End and would like to be able to play them. So it just helps you get through those chains with minimizing that disadvantage.
Certainly, yes, and all of that. We're going to see Sanctum. And I think, here, just to get damage on those Sanctum creatures, definitely just to kind of limit the effectiveness of that Coward's End.
Yep, and then also got the Brains off the board and gets 2 Ember from fighting Baldric into the Dodger. And we are going to see the Vault Keeper.
And gets to steal with the Vault Keeper because that's Scrivener Fabian. And I think we're going to see our first Coward's End of the game here, unless I'm very...
Gotta hope so for the Sheep.
Yes, Lorenzo's deck is the one that's full of disruption, the crazy Cronus J. Philippeg, and I'm very excited to see it.
So we're getting a punch on the Fabian.
And there's the Coward's End. So I'll put the deck list there for J. Philippeg as you can bask in the ludicrous amount of disruption. As we said, it is Nope personified as a deck.
Chooses to discard the Tireless Krokag, I think just wanting to avoid giving Lorenzo another fight with Baldric.
Yeah, true. I can see that. I think unlikely though for Lorenzo to be playing in Shadows. It's Shadow Sanctum again here. I'm gonna see a Techno Fiend coming on down, capturing 1. And gonna play a Break Key just for the Ember and the capture, and then play an Essence Scale. Just tokens or pips all around this deck too.
Yeah, it has crazy amounts of enhancements.
And we see Lorenzo playing very well here, just getting pips on as many things as possible, limiting the amount of effectiveness that Coward's End can be. There is obviously a punch in the deck, but we've seen 1 go already, only 1 left here. So very, very good play from Lorenzo here, playing around that Coward's End. You're going to see Shadows, and a Nerve Blast going to steal 1. Will we see some routine jobs here? I'd be surprised if we didn't.
Yeah, you've got to hope so, I think.
And there's the first routine job of the game, and they're going to steal 1.
And here I think is the dilemma.
Scarlet and Urchin there. That's an interesting one.
Baldric, I think.
Bold, yeah, just not wanting to let that fight into it.
And here I think is the dilemma of the match, which is that Sheep can steal a whole bunch of Ember, but obviously Lorenzo's going to have no problem keeping that up if he can make the board stick.
Yeah, I'm thinking we may see, could see a Dis turn here. Got quite a few Dis creatures on the board. Could use that Essence Scale on the Techno Fiend to get a second steal with Drekka.
Yeah, especially with the TMTP gone early.
Mm-hmm.
No, nothing really preventing him from just going hard and generating as much Ember as possible.
We've seen 1 breaching job, but even with the Howling Pit, how likely we're going to see another one, I'm not sure. Logos will be the call from Lorenzo, though. Maybe he's wanting to build up that board instead.
Okay, so here goes Cronus.
Cronus going to get an archive.
J. Philip described as a crazy Cronus because there are just lots of draw pips attached to things in
There are indeed,
logos.
yeah. I think if you've got the deck list up, you can tell us how many draw pips there are.
Yeah, I
Oh, and
can.
there's a Skippy Time Hog. Nothing on the board, but it does look like Library of Babel being used, and Doc Bookton gonna get a damage pip on Drekker. I do believe there.
Yeah, so we might see another card's end here, but Lorenzo boxing very clever,
It's
and is
interesting
just
here. Maleficorn is only enemy creatures to get the extra damage pip from damage pips being placed on them too. So
so it is.
yeah, and they're also just giving the deck 4 damage pips too. So yeah, now we see Coward's End still keeping a bit of a board for Lorenzo. Really, that those damage pips do
Yeah,
work.
this is the thing. 4 creatures have survived that,
And the
whereas you
Techno
would.
Fiend giving the steal to Lorenzo, getting him on check. I don't know if Dr. Sheep noticed that or not. I've got to think he did. Maybe just kind of valued getting that that stuff off the board and thinking, well, it's going to forge one way or another.
There was a slight pause afterwards, which is perhaps an indication of mistake. He's discarding creatures now, so he's clearly has thought about this and is taking a specific strategy.
Yeah, and we see the sound of the horns discarded as well, so maybe not wanting to discard any routine jobs, preferring to draw them and play them. But Lorenzo, first key forge, first blood to Lorenzo, and I feel like he's in a good position here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what whether Sheep is building towards something, perhaps big library access turn, but these Sanctum creatures are just going to keep coming.
Mm-hmm. We have one more Coward's End left as well. We've seen 2 go past, but with 15 cards left in the draw pile, I'm see whether we're going to see more. We also see Bulwark is going to take a damage too after that Ember Heart is played, and Shoulder Armor being put onto Drekker. We now see the whole of Lorenzo's board just has a little bit of damage just speckled everywhere, just protecting against that big Coward's End. Masterfully playing here for Lorenzo to play around that, and then gonna just do a bit of a reap, carry on trucking.
Okay, we haven't had logos for a while.
We do see it now as we see the Valent Analyst. We see a draw with the Library of Babel, gonna get him an Ember from that Valent Analyst. Novo Archaeologist, Mother, increasing that draw even further with that Howling Pit. Going to be drawing 8-card hands as Sheep. Remote access. Ooh, is he going to maybe use that Essence Scale?
Oh, the Essence Scale could be good.
Maybe even Ember Heart just to ward the Mother. I could see either one, but I think Essence Scale is more likely. Get rid of that Valent Analyst, use the Nova Archaeologist.
Certainly. It's worth noting also he's going to get an Ember for using the Essence Scale from the Valent Analyst.
I don't know if he does.
Oh, no, he's not, because he destroyed it.
Yeah.
Ah, well. Archives the TMTP. Okay, that's pretty big.
Very sensible there. But there is the Discombobulator still knocking around for Lorenzo. So if he can get that out, it could be pretty good. Yes, J. Philip saying this is why when you think of board wipes, Gateway comes first into the Coward's End. I think that's true. I think the thing is, though, Lorenzo's deck is very well placed to play against Coward's End. And the thing with Coward's End, I always find, is when you've got a really good Brobnar deck, they can take advantage of it. Being able to do that one-sided board wipe, where you keep a lot of your creatures and destroy a lot of theirs, it can sometimes be more powerful.
Yeah, we're going to see a pretty brutal Mark of Dis turn here, I think. Went through a lot of logos.
Mm-hmm.
And is now straight back into it. Got to assume that one or both of those creatures are going to get taken out somehow.
I would think so, yeah. And it's yeah, we're going to see the Essence Scale has already been exhausted, so not being used there. But we're going to see Drekker reap to steal one. And Maleficorn, I think we'll maybe just reap 2 and let him have the Logo's turn. Just you don't want to do that damage to the Drekker, is the thing.
I'd maybe fight the Archaeologist. I don't think you want
no, just use, of course, cool, damage pip on the Cinder, used to take out the Archaeologist.
With the Maleficorn.
Mm-hmm. And maybe trying to decide here whether or not to fight that Maleficorn into the Mother, thinking, do I want to stop him drawing as many cards, or do I just want to reap? Playing the History Cog. Techno Fiend as well, going to capture one onto that History Cog. And just reaps the Maleficorn.
Yeah, and this is the thing. The huge board is just sticking in a way that is giving Lorenzo a very easy time because he's just popping these damage pips around.
Yeah, exactly. So here we see the library access and Mother played.
We'll see whether he drew into more logos. He hasn't played much this game so far.
Yeah. And I'm guessing what Lorenzo is doing here is just thinking, well, even if he does get a big library access turn, at least I can stop him using, say, a routine job to steal. I can get to a second key. Happy there. And you've got to think as well that Lorenzo's probably drawn his that discombobulator at this point and putting it on something like, say, a Histricog, which is decently sized, a Cinder. Not great ways of getting rid of that in shadows.
Whack it on the Drekker, which is also immune from the Coward's End.
Mm-hmm.
6 power,
Very
2 armor.
true. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think that's probably what Lorenzo is looking for and what Lorenzo is driving towards at this point. I think is very much in the driving seat here too.
Just damage pip, unable to deal with. Sorry, the Coward's End's unable to get over the 9 damage pips in Sandstone.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, it is. Yeah. And also just been some fighting that Lorenzo has been doing as well. You know, like the damage on those 2 Sanctum creatures.
Oh, and
Do a bit of
another
fighting.
Mark of Dis.
Oof. And I think
Oh,
this
it's
could
brutal.
be
Nice
ball
game.
game as well because I
He's
don't
just
think
gonna
there's
rip
any
out.
way. We don't even have a phase shift in the logos. No, so
No, gonna end the game.
I do believe so. As Lorenzo is going to take the first tie here. Going to fight. Use Cinders to fight the mother. Histrocog to destroy it. Reaps the Techno Fiend, and Dr. Sheep does concede there. Quite a fast first game. Just I think Lorenzo just got his boot on Dr. Sheep's neck with getting those damage bits around. It just never really relented.
Yeah, he just couldn't deal with the board, which is a problem when your opponent's got 20 odd creatures and many of them big chunky knights.
Indeed, indeed. So we'll leave the game and we'll await the second game of the tie coming up shortly.
So, nice and quickly after the first game.
Okay. Hopefully we won't have the same tribulations as we had in the previous match, trying to work out who goes first. So we had, I think, Matt going first like 7 times in a row when J Power wanted to go.
Fingers crossed. I'm just going to wait for them to get it right.
I'll let you know, yeah. Okay.
Just to save myself a little bit of effort. Is that the right one?
We'll find out in a second. I'm just waiting.
Pan was not banned, J. Philippe. To reiterate, the decks that were banned were Ikari the Badly Curious and Odin the Aggressive.
Agresivo.
Odin E. L'Aggressivo.
But yeah, Dr. Sheep sticking with C. Colton, still Home's Ambitious Emperor. And Lorenzo obviously switching to his second deck. And they are happy with the order. Dr. Sheep on top of the screen once again. And Lorenzo on the bottom.
I will grace you with my presence.
And I'll just let him know. Good to go. And yeah, we're going to see Dr. Sheep opening the game. Kept his hand, happy with both players happy, no mulliganing. Novu Archaeologist coming on down.
So that could be one of those things where you want to maybe have something you can play and then immediately archive.
And yeah, discards the Quant there, just wanting to keep Zens in the middle, but play the Hologramophone too. So getting a nice big hand of 8 cards is Lorenzo here.
And the potential to start warding some of the creatures as soon as you drop them down. Things like Edai, things like the other Quant.
Indeed. Anyway, you're going to library access though.
So it's going to play out this Logos turn and then archive something from his discard.
Yeah. And so yeah,
we will
briefly
lament the old days where you could have archived the library access.
But yeah, must have quite a bit in hand here to be going for a library access. Maybe go for a risky one. A bit of a pause here from Sheep. Has he got unlucky and just not drawn any further Logos cards? And he is going to go for the action. Archives the Neurosiphon, and that's it. Must have gotten quite unlucky with the library access there, you'd think.
Yeah, we've expected maybe at least one more. Especially as that's now gone forever. We get Starlights from Lorenzo.
So Psy-Officer Morpheus. Information Officer Grey going to allow Lorenzo to archive 2 cards because of that Morpheus. Going to archive both Yancey gangs. Psionic Officer Lang. Presumably he's going to play 1 more creature and does play the Frayne to capture 2. 1 on the Lang. 1 on the Frayne herself. Or himself. I'm not sure with Frayne actually.
I think it's a her.
Yeah, we'll go with they because we're not sure.
Sure.
on themselves and discarded Ali and discarded a red alert. Ooh, a massive hand of Star Alliance there. Had
Yeah,
six
drew up quite a
cards.
few.
And obviously could archive the 2 Shadows cards too. But yeah, here we go, Bob-Omb and Coward's End. First of 3, gone, smash, gonna stun itself. And a Headhunter played down as well.
No damage pips this time.
No, unfortunately not. This predates the damage pips. Tattoo Vapors draws 2 cards. Got to assume archived some shadows. I would guess.
Probably to go with the anti-gang. I'm now going to see the E-Die.
Yep, Twin Bottom Mission. Going to put a bit of damage on the E-Die. Coward's End, presumably protect it against. And puts a ward on the E-Die as well, which is good. Means that Headhunter can't fight into it to gain Ember, as it will destroy itself, and the E-Die will also survive if it does that. You see a Dodger coming down, an Urchin going to steal one. And a routine job, and the TMTP again being played very early by Sheep.
Has not come out at a particularly opportune time in either game.
But that routine job train is starting to roll here. Got the first one down, so the subsequent one's going to steal even more. But here's Val Jericho, the second leader of the 2-party system that is Lorenzo's deck. Gets it in the middle, so can play something out of house now. Which is a J Vinder. I sent to Chief Garcia. Increasing that key cost even further, and we see is Zap.
Obviously adding the... nope, doesn't actually help with the J Vinder, but does get it on the board ready for your Shadows turn.
I think maybe hits a... I think probably want to hit like the Dodger and the Headhunter here. Just make them not be able to use their fight ability. So probably put 1 on the Headhunter and 3 on the Dodger. I think there's enough houses to allow that.
And significantly, the J Vinder gives you...
Oh, no, damaging his own creatures, protecting against that Coward's End. Very good play. Who really needs damage pips? I've got a Zap.
Has clearly thought this through a lot in terms of practice and training.
Yeah. And obviously then, like, saying, oh, if you want to use a Coward's End, you're going to have to kill your own Dodger too. So not putting any damage on the Dodger. Very astute from Lorenzo, I'd say. And Bob-Omb is the choice from Sheep. Plays a Blood Money. I assume if we're about to see a Coward's End, this will go on the Jericho. No, it goes on the CXO Tabor, so maybe you're going to see a punch. Nope, Headhunter just fights CXO Tabor, thinking, well, War Drummer to return the smash. Going to play that back down, stun, something. Oh, Coward's End, no, just gets rid of everything and then replays the smash to stun the Vinder. And there's the tireless Krokag.
Interesting, he chose to stun the Vinder and not the Garcia, but I suppose with the E-Die out, it's still not great.
No. But yeah, I've still got that E-Die knocking around, so Dr. Sheep on 7 Ember, but not on check. Lorenzo taking a second here, catching his breath. You know, a lot of stuff happened that turn, maybe that he was counting on. So you're going to have to reevaluate his situation, get ready to go again.
The thing is, it's worth noting that despite the fact that he's been doing a good job of dodging the Coward's End, he's also then struggled to generate Ember.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not that he struggled to generate, it's just it's kind of kept being nicked from him.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. I guess struggled to generate enough where he can forge despite having all of his Ember stolen.
Indeed, yeah. And that's the thing, you know that Sheep's deck is getting closer and closer to those routine jobs to steal any Ember that Lorenzo does make. You know, no Discombobulator this time, and no, nothing really to kind of respond to that. But we're going to see Shadows. J Vinder removes its stun. That archive's staying in place.
Has Pixels archives, yeah. So either he has the TMCP now.
Here's the Brand. Going to break a hill. And I don't believe there's any bounce effect in Sheep's deck. So that Brand pretty dangerous here.
And presumably makes the third Coward's End more problematic.
It does. We're going to see a Discard of Hawk not wanting to get rid of either of his hologramophones.
Could perhaps see a situation where you hold the TMTP because he's not at check because the E-Die. So you go, okay, well, if you get rid of that, I will then TMTP and steal a bit more.
Discard's got the command, so I guess just like expecting that second Hawk to be kind of ready to hit that at some point and just think it's not worth it giving that Ember. And he's going to do a bit of fighting to get rid of that E-Die.
Okay, so now he's at 8. We'll see if Lorenzo now picks up his archives to do some TMTP shenanigans.
We will see. I mean, he doesn't necessarily need to TMTP if he has a way of getting into that Brand. You know, can action steal one with the Brand and then could even like reap with the Vinder to hit the Breaker Hill to steal one. You know, there's ways of doing this without, and also with a running wrist lock. So yeah, you're gonna play the running wrist
Yeah,
lock,
everybody
steal two.
responds.
Use Bren to steal one, reap with the Breaker Hill, reap with the J Vinder. What's he gonna do the damage to?
So Sheep getting a taste of his own steely medicine
And
here.
yeah, just puts on the smash there as well.
Getting it set up for another J Vinder hit imminently.
Indeed. And yeah, and you're seeing here, yeah, that third card's end now is just much less attractive of a prospect because you're gonna have to hit that Brend, you're gonna have to have that stolen. We obviously a Neurosiphon though to steal it right back from Lorenzo and into Dr. Sheep's pool.
Is there anything else you can do to get him off check here?
And there's a Howling Pit and a Lab Work to archive. And finally a Valen Analyst and a Mother.
Empties his full hand.
And Tyler's Crocag, of course, going to do some biffing. Maybe hits that running wrist lock, just give one less to steal with the Breaker Hill. I could see.
Maybe hits the Garcia, so he can't up the key cost that way.
Possibly. I think there might be. No, it goes for the. Yeah, it goes for the shadows. I think just be cognizant that Team TP is still knocking around somewhere and wants to minimize the ease of which you can steal a bunch on that turn.
And we could now see a big TMTP now because I could see a situation where he steals 3, steals a couple more.
I think that's very likely, but I think you've got to think Dr. Sheep has at least like 1, if not 2 or 3 routing jobs in hand. Only 6 cards left in the deck here. Has been drawing quite a lot, so I think even if we do see a big steal from Team TP, it's probably going right back to Sheep's pool next turn.
Probably so.
Lorenzo having a bit of a consider here, thinking it through.
There are still 3 routine jobs that we haven't seen yet.
There are indeed, yeah.
So a casual 9 steal remaining.
Of course, we have both the Yancey gangs in Lorenzo's archive, and he hasn't picked that up yet, even though he's been playing some Shadows turns. So we are going to see Logos here, though, which is an interesting one. I'm curious to see whether he's just going to let this key happen, maybe?
And we're talking as though he has a Team TP. He may just not have it.
He may do. I mean, yeah, it was with 4 cards left, you're kind of expecting it. But I suppose what maybe he's doing here is like forcing Dr. Sheep to keep holding on to, say, a Shadows turn. Because presumably if you are expecting to have a lot of Shadows in hand, you're kind of like just setting yourself up on this turn to then play it better next turn. But this is an interesting one. I'm curious about what's happening here.
Yeah, what's gone under that? What's got under that jar goggle?
Indeed.
Because I don't think he can stop this key in Logos.
I don't believe he can. No. So I think this key is going to happen, whether he likes it or not. Plays the Quadrino Flux. Also going to hit his own Brend. But he's going to let that key happen. And
so
goes to 4.
Yeah. Chooses to steal 3 and empty off the Brobnar. But does let Sheep forward for 6.
He does. And I've got to think we're going to see a Shadows turn yep here from Sheep with those routine jobs. Doing some nabbing. Poison Wave, first and foremost, is going to take out that Sense Chief Garcia's Ward token and the rest of the board. There's a routine job. First one, stealing 2.
Next one, stealing 3, if there were enough to steal, but there's not.
Only steals 2 instead, and there we are.
Swings that Ember total right back around, goes from 0 to 5.
Yeah, in rapid pace.
Classic Kota Shadows. Play cards, steal Ember, get money.
Indeed. So, but Lorenzo here, still keeping that archive. Has just cycled around his deck now.
So it does have the TMTP.
Definitely, 100%. Which means that Dr. Chief's going to be pretty careful with this turn. Can't take too much here because knows that TMTP is knocking around.
Does always have the 1 remaining routine job for the steal of 4.
And we haven't seen the trust no one yet as well. So whatever Sheep goes to this turn, Demak can knock him back off check with that.
Yeah.
We also have only seen 1 Frey thus far too. So if Frey and the Garcia. So I think Dr. Sheep probably knows he isn't going to forge this turn no matter what. And he's maybe going to do a bit of a fallow turn to set up. But in the meantime, let's see what Lorenzo is going to do here.
Silence falls across the crowd
It does.
as they ponder Lorenzo's next move.
Lorenzo's got a lot to think about here. He's got, his artifacts lined up there. He's got 4 things in the archive that he may or may not want to pick up, and he's got a hand of 7 cards. A lot of consideration to be done here, a lot of decisions to make. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
Also, a consideration that any board that he plays might just immediately hit the Coward's End.
Yeah, there is a single Coward's End left too. I mean, Dodge probably not going to want to get rid of that Mace's Aspen Dodger, but I'm sure it'd be a price he's willing to pay if the board is sufficiently good.
Could give the Dodger a bit of a punch.
Could indeed.
So Argonaut Shadows, interesting. Hawks the Howling Pit.
Okay, clearly thinking it's giving Dr. Sheep more benefit than it's giving him. Gonna use Mug, possibly on the Dodger. And to limit the amount of fight steal it can do.
I think very reasonable.
Yep, does go for the Dodger. And a second Mug, also on the Dodger, bringing himself up to 4.
Feels like both of them at the moment are edging around each other's tricks.
Yeah.
Sheep's got to know that the TMTP is coming.
100%, yeah. And I think that's maybe what he's trying to decide here, is that he's probably got that 4th routine job, knocking around, and he's like, well, do I want to play it? He is going to just reap with the Mace's Aspen the Dodger, though, and a Nerf Blast to steal 1, go up to 8, take out that Central Chief Garcia 2.
Basically just be like, all right, do it. I'm going to go to 8, where it's not too bad. Hold on to routine job number 4 to probably take you off check.
Yeah, 8's a very good number to go to as well, because it protects you against stuff like those frames, for example, but doesn't protect you against E-Die that has been drawn back on top immediately.
Ooh, that's a big draw.
That's brutal for Dr. Sheep.
Lets him cycle, gets him a nice decent board. He's going to normally exploit the Dodger and ward a Quant and an E-Die.
Yeah. Would he use the fetch drones here? I'm thinking possibly not, but interesting to see.
Probably doesn't fancy the discard.
No. And also just kind of doesn't want to capture stuff, just because, well, if you just want to TMTP later, then having it on your creatures isn't actually very good.
That is a very rough turn of events for Sheep.
100%, yeah. And Lorenzo, I think, like, just being cagey here, playing around it a bit, we are going to see Bob-Omb from Sheep. So I've got to think we're going to punch the E-Die Coward's End, would be my expectation.
Something like that.
And just kind of like reset it and just say, I've still got 8 Ember. You still need to do something about it. So
let me forge, you coward.
Yeah. No, the cowards have been ended, Callum. It's happened twice now. There's no cowards here anymore.
Not enough ending.
I mean, usually the Coward's End here, and then the punch.
Punch.
And
double punch.
Double punch, but going to 10 and 11 here. Ooh. Okay. Bowls from Dr. Sheep. Then.
Oh, and he's going to reshuffle.
Oh.
So the routine jobs now, unless he has multiples, which I don't think he does.
He has 1, definitely, yeah, but no more.
That wonder. Greatly limits the effect.
Yeah. Gotta wonder whether that was intentional from Sheep. It feels like that. I'd be surprised if it was, because that feels like a big swing in the favor of Lorenzo. I'm just making sure we're not missing anything else in this deck, but I don't believe we are. As we do see the shadows. Here comes the archive. TMTP to steal 5 for Lorenzo. Yancey gang. Trust no one to steal another. Takes him off the check. Hawk just going to take out fetch drones, I imagine.
Seems about right.
That's what I take out.
So, how lucky is Dr.
Oh, no, it takes out the Anomaly Exploiter instead.
What has he drawn off the top of the deck? He's going Logos.
And this is...
So is looking for cards here.
Yeah, archive something. Maybe that routine job that we were talking about. But Lorenzo is going to forge a second key. 6 Ember left in the pool.
I think can just take a Shadow's turn, steal 2.
Can take a Shadow's turn, steal 2. May even... Depends what's got in his hand, but...
So yeah, it wasn't necessarily a mistake. It could have just been a necessity from Sheep. Just like the E-Die is stuck, warded on the board.
Yeah.
I have to deal with that. I can't let that stick there. He's got too much archiving. I'm never going to forge unless I can get rid of it. And the TMTP is just going to be so much worse. So just kind of had to eat the reshuffle.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm like trying to think of what else he could have done.
I'm just curious about the sound of the horns So I guess he was going to flip the deck anyway, maybe, and just wanted to get rid of those first.
Could have maybe just punched the E-Die twice.
There's the Quintrino Flux, takes out the whole board. Captain Valgerico letting him play another card from another house. I don't know what that'll be. We'll find out.
Sheep's not out of it yet, though.
No, not at all. But CXO maybe doesn't end up plays a close up to frame. Cap just one onto that Valgerico.
Did not want that. Really needed to get a key there, I think.
And House Vapors to draw to Archive 1 as well.
Just some
Psyops
brutal...
and Morpheus. And just is that gonna protect that Tabor against the Coward's End?
Just some brutal efficiency. He puts himself on 7. Sheep goes to Shadows. It's looking...
TMTP in a routine jobs. Okay, gets Lorenzo off his check. Okay.
It's a 9.
So routine job 1. Like Dr. Sheep's not out of this yet. He's got a lot of steel in the deck, so maybe he can pull something back here. And Lorenzo thinking about his turn.
Very delicate point.
Very delicate indeed. Yep, goes Star Alliance. So can play presumably 2 cards out of house. You've got the Tabor and the Jericho to help do that.
Morpheus sticking as well means that there's a lot of Star Alliance creatures that could come down with pretty strong effect.
Yep, so we've got
Never Eternally is not one of them, but
hey, doing it twice. Why not? Yeah, looks at the top 3 cards of his deck, rearranges them a bit. There's only 3 cards left in the deck too, so he knows exactly what it is.
Has gone through his deck twice, and Sheep has barely gone through his deck once.
Yeah. He's gonna fight the Dodger, taking him out. Reap with the Morpheus. Is he gonna play? I assume he's gonna play something out. Reaps with the Frame. So using the Star Alliance first.
So 2 things out of house.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen a Ronnie since the redraw. There's one thing I'm thinking here. Twin Bolt and Mission hitting, just getting some damage on things here a bit, I think. CXO Tabor allowing to play a second non-Star Alliance card as well.
Ronnie could be particularly brutal.
And that's going to be another Twin Bolt emission, takes him to 9. Information Officer Grey, Archives. And there's the concession.
9, too much.
Yeah. Presumably had maybe 1 or 2 routine jobs, but just not another one. And yeah, 2 brutal games it felt like for Dr. Sheep there. It really felt like Lorenzo just kind of got control in both matchups and didn't really let go.
Yeah, and I think I just radically underestimated the extent to which the both Randolph and Sandstorm had little bits of damage that you could just pop on your own creatures to keep those boards very nicely alive.
Yeah, excellent play from Lorenzo playing around those Coward's End, but also just great play from Sheep as well. Just like, even so, kind of getting rid of creatures, playing to his outs, doing really well with it. And yeah, I think got unlucky both times seeing the TMTP very early and just had to play it for the Ember.
Very unfortunate draws, really.
And that library access right early on, you know, if he'd have kind of like hit a good vein with that and kind of like been able to draw quite a few cards, I think this game's completely different complexion to what it ended up being.
Yeah, just seeing if they fancy coming on for a chat.
Okay, so yeah, if you want to get that started, and we'll see how both players are
feeling. Give him a ring. Hello.
Hello.
How are you all? How are you feeling? Congratulations to Lorenzo. Commiserations to Dr. Sheep.
Thank you.
So,
yeah, kind of relieved.
Relieved, yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have to practice anymore, so that's kind of a benefit.
You're free from the grind and the routine of being the KFPL. So, talk us through the match. Firstly, I think, why did you guys ban the decks that you banned? Possibly not the hardest ban in the KFPL, but say some thoughts.
I actually think I had... Truthfully, I think I could have banned any deck, and it didn't matter that much. All of Lorenzo's decks are super hot, and I mean, like, Colton during testing was a clear weak point. Like, I think I got actually it was when somebody else was piloting Colton and I was piloting Lorenzo's deck. Was the only time Colton got a win. It was, it's just wasn't a good matchup there. So like I said, I don't know if my ban mattered too much. I kind of wonder if I should have let the Coda deck play and just hope all three of his control weeks just sat in the bottom of the deck and let me steal a victory. But
that always feels like a bad choice to have to make.
Well, I mean, like I really feel I was making 3 bad choices, right? Like it didn't really matter which one. Colton, well, 2 of my decks are so steel heavy, and his mass mutation is very good anti-steal. And then he has control in the other 2 to just be like, well, you don't get to steal next turn. Yeah. I'm going to tell you what house you're playing.
Yeah, I think we said in the deck chat that Specialist is just anti-everything, it feels like, but Steel is definitely among the things, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, I had good luck with playing with Pan against his decks because it has that weird anti-efficiency where I just keep junking his hand full of all his own cards and he can't draw back into actions, and that can work out. But it was Colton, right? If Colton gets a win, or I'm, no point in continuing playing. So
fair enough. How about you, Lorenzo? What motivated your choices this week?
Yeah, for me it was a clear choice to ban Ikari because it's this great deck and 100 SS. But Desanya kicks me off for me because all my 3 decks want to archive Odin, not so much, but it's just a bad matchup for Odin because of the Iron Fringe, and you can purge my control weeks before time turbo from Sushef shenanigans goes on. And Designer just kills Sandstorm at the right moment because of the Exhume. You can cycle Designer. And also against my Wits Glide deck, I had during the last game, I had 4 cards in my archive and my too much. So if Designer comes, I just lose there. So it was a clear choice for me to ban Ikari. And I also considered to be Coden the weakest deck on your lineup. But the first look after the game with Vince T, I had on your decks, and I was kind of 3 cards and against 2 and 23 creatures from my deck, so I was kind of oof. But I figured with the anti-steal in Sunstorm, and I think with the Worlds Collider was not so clear matchup. I think this game, how it goes, was a little bit too good for me. If I had Sensi first turn and then my deck just flies, it was a closer one, I think.
Yeah, we didn't even bother practicing in a Akari game this week. We went, yep, that's banned. And
I don't practice it. That was also banned.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It has been banned a good chunk of the time, to be fair.
I think in both decks, Lorenzo, you kind of playing around a lot of like damaging your own creatures, whether it's a damage pips in Specialist or whether it's kind of using like Zap and other effects in the other deck, was kind of getting around that Coward's End. Is that something you kind of just instinctively knew to do, or was it like something you kind of discovered in practicing?
Both. I don't think I play too often against Coward's End because nobody plays Propner. And
hey, whoa, I play Propner. I love Propner.
I play also Propner, but on this level, not so many people play Propner.
Not often in the KFPL, let's put it that way.
Yeah. I really like Propner, but most of the time.
Maybe that's why I'm not in the KFPL then.
Yeah.
Play Propner too much.
But I figured out in practice and also some natural ways. And sometimes I think in the last game I didn't damage Captain at one point and nor the other creatures because I figured if he really wants to get rid of Captain, he has to Coward's End. But for 2 creatures, that's hard. That's 3 chains for 1 Captain. That's kind of hard to do. And also figured out, which are not shown in the game, that if I can damage my Rod Keeper in Sandstorm and get a shoulder armor on it, that Coden had not much ways to get rid of it.
You just that game went very well for you. You just forged keys before I even had routine jobs, so anti-steal didn't matter.
Yeah, and also I think I didn't get anti-stay, so no steal, no anti-stay.
Yeah,
that was kind of lucky. But I figured out wallkeeper damage with the shoulder armor, only something like Tyler's Croc and Puncher, so can
yeah,
get
very hard to deal with, right? Yeah, the anti-steal in that deck is very strong. Even the Amber Heart. Just once the Amber Heart lands, then I go, well, no, it's too taxing to then be able to kill the Vault Keeper once he's warded.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, Cheap, your time in the KFPL has come to an end. How are you feeling? How have you enjoyed it? How has it been?
Yeah, it was
overall thoughts.
It was great. It's I get to wear my little cap of pride because in Team SAS I did make it the farthest, so that's something on its own. I'm now going to go look over my team for the rest of the year, right? Because there's no other events yet.
At least until season 3.
Yeah, which I'm already qualified for. So really,
I was gonna say,
just auto qualifying for season 3 and not having to play in qualifiers and try was another ginormous win. That was as good as it gets.
How are you feeling about sealed compared to the triad we've had this time?
I've been thinking about it, and because it's 5-on-5 with pick 2, it sounds like it could be even more terrible practice to figure out them first weeks. When I have 5 decks and you have 5 decks, and I have to figure out what I want to play against you,
it's cool. We have 15 different potential matchups.
So I was hoping, being sealed, I was like, okay, maybe there'll be less practice. But if it's open knowledge decks and I know what 5 decks you have, it's gonna be
absolute nightmare to work out what's going on.
Yeah, that's a lot of iterations of stuff to figure out. But I'm still excited because it's sealed. So my plan of draw better extends to sealed decks too. So I'm just going to open better sealed decks.
Could just get an absolute banger.
Yeah, and then practice doesn't need to happen because they're pulling from real decks. So I'm playing my lineup right here. You guys heard it. Akari's going to show up in my sealed.
For sure. It's going to be great. Lorenzo, how are you feeling about the top 4? Making it, going up against, spoilers for anyone who didn't watch earlier, against Matt.
I didn't watch, so damn it. Happy to be in the top 4. At least 2 games. Happy. I think I didn't expect to be in the top 4s after I looked at the beginning in my group stage. Was kind of like
it was the knockout.
Two of my teammates, Ecuador from Team SAS, Easy Galina, Merton and Lafra, tough group. So I'm really happy and didn't expect it. So let's see how far it goes.
Yeah, it was also with Matt as well. You obviously had 2 of your teammates, Vincenzo and John Lang, in his group as well. So I imagine they're going to have some insight into playing him that could definitely help with that too.
Yeah, I think I played practice with my at least with my brother against MILF Dematic, so that helps.
Yeah. Plus, that desire for revenge.
Yes, of course.
Someone said to me previously that it's always worrying to sit down and see that your opponent has a better narrative arc. So you now get to knock out the guy that put your brother out. Revenge. Well, they will no doubt be featured on the Keyforge Premier League Twitch. I'll be looking forward to seeing it. Absolutely. It's going to be very exciting play for everybody, I think.
Indeed it will. Yeah, looking very much forward to that. So thank you very much for letting us stream that game. It was very entertaining from both of you. Brilliant players, both of you. Well done on making it thus far as well. But yeah, so we have been Team Screech Bob-Omb. I have been David Baron von Fabulous Lark.
And I've been Callum, the good Dr. Young. Thanks to both guys for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
And we will sign it off here.
Yeah, thank you very much and goodbye. And we'll hopefully be back, next week for even more Keyforge action as we have the semi-finals. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.